So the other day I was talking about the ninth house and the fact that it is not representing the second marriage, contrary to what AI and Chatgtp says. We must remember that when we talk about AI and Chatgtp, they collect the data or the information that they have from different sources, from millions and millions of sources. So what happens is that if 100 blogs and 10,000 YouTubers and 50 books, they claim the same thing, then the AI will also assume that that thing is the truth or it's correct, because the majority rules, as you know how the world is today. You know, everybody that says something usually end up being the rule makers, but then we can't follow the rule makers whereby, you know, there are testing that need to be done, because most of the time many of the theories, they come from somebody's opinion of, or observation, not opinion, observation of maybe how they dealt with a certain individual, and then they decide, oh, okay, Mars in this sign acts like this, and then they tell their friends or they tell their followers, and they write a book and claim this is it, this is what it does, this is what Mars does, and all of that record gets kept and repeated by many people thereafter, because maybe that person is a trusted source who said it. Maybe this is an astrologer with a huge following, or an astrologer from a certain family, or an astrologer that is popular, so their word is not challenged by the mere people who don't know much about astrology. So they just take their word and then they just run with it, and they also go and write their own blogs. They go and tell their own friends, their own families that Mars does this. This is how errors get repeated, particularly in theory, and this is how the truth gets distorted. This is how things and facts get to be misrepresented, because it's not like people are lazy to test. They're not lazy. It's people are just too trusting of certain people or certain individuals, and therefore they don't ask beyond that, because they see some people as mini gods and divine beings, right? So this is a continuous error that is happening. So because I am not afraid to do my own thing when it comes, to this astrology thing. I have, as I said, I'm always testing. This is what I've done. I literally started at the research phase before I came up to you guys and say, hey, look what I can do. I was in the background for so many years, quiet, silently testing, researching, taking courses, astrology courses, because I believed that to be able to offer my services to people, I had to know what I was talking about, so that I don't take advantage of people who don't know, and people who trust so easily to these spiritual traditions or spiritual beliefs, these things, because a lot of people are spiritually influenced they love miracles. They love, things that cannot be explained by, their daily norms of, okay, this is a car, this is not, they believe so easily. So when you come to people and you say, oh, look at this magnificent thing, people will believe you, particularly if you have a certain status, a certain voice, a certain background, a certain family lineage. They will just eat up what you say. So therefore, it is your responsibility as an astrologer. I don't call myself an astrologer. I call myself Synastry expert or astrology journalist, because these are the things that I really enjoy doing. And so like if you're an astrologer and you tell people, I'm an astrologer, this is what I do, this is what I know, listen to me, people will really, really, really respect you and listen to every single thing that you say. And many people will suffer, obviously, definitely, if things are not up to par, they're not tested, they're not testable, all of these things that you say. So I go back to what I said. I can debate against anyone because this is a subject that I am really invested in 100% of my time. I deal with relationships here. I test all types of relationships from all angles, literally every single day. And I deal with the real people because I do know a lot of people, or no, not a lot of people, like some people, they just take what the AI says and they go report it on YouTube because, it's fun to do so. And besides, we all have different gifts and different roles in our lives. For some people it's just entertainment, so it doesn't hurt anyone in their mind, because for them it's just entertainment, to entertain people and have a good time, nothing serious, and that's really okay. But then those people, they also honest about it. They come up and say, hey, this is for entertainment purposes only, so definitely by that you already know, okay, this is just entertainment, it's not something serious. But in any case, I picked 5 charts from my database that I want to show. And obviously when we are using these platforms, when it is time to introduce our research or defend our research, because this is me, I'm defending my research against the hypothesis that the 9th house shows the second marriage, so many people say it is and I say it's not, so let's get into the testing. By the way, out of the context, I was just, looking at the global happenings, and obviously I'm not going to post that, but I was like, just, scanning the environment in terms of energy around the world. And this week, like from the 15th until the 22nd, is really going to be a tough week for the supreme leader of Iran, and or even maybe somebody very close to him. I was just looking at that. I'm like, oh, okay, this, that happening. And of course, when it comes to anyway, before I get taken off from what I'm doing, let's get into the testing. So I've chosen only 5 charts, which obviously it's not a good number. It's not a good sample for you guys. But I have done lots of data. I have lots of charts, but I don't want to go through all of them. I just don't have the energy and the time to show you the same thing over and over again. But I chose the best charts, and obviously I always I use celebrities when it comes to defending my theories, because we all know the celebrities, we all can prove it at home, we all can calculate it at home, and we can all just prove that something is not right, is not true. We don't need to at this time to speak to private people. or just people who will never be able to confirm it publicly that what we say is true or not, right? In the very first chart, the one introduced to you is of Eminem, because this chart, I chose it specifically because it actually accords with the Chatgtp's and AI's version of the ninth house and second marriage. Because we know that the third house is actually all the houses, they represent age, like I showed you in my book that I released some time ago, right? And number 2, for the first marriage, because this is important that I also do the first marriage, because you're going to see something, and that thing that you're going to see, you're going to be able to just know when somebody or AI is telling you something that is not true. You're just going to know that, okay, they never tested it. They just repeating what they heard or what they read, but they never tested what they're saying. But in any case, so Eminem was 26. And that age, as I said, is falling in between the first house and the second house. And when it comes to the second marriage, it does fall in the ninth house, because this is when he was 33 years old. And the 33-year mark, we know it falls into the ninth house. So definitely this part does agree with your guys' hypothesis. And you could also add and be like, oh, look, he was also even more blessed because Moon is aspecting that ninth house. So Moon is the ruler of the ninth house. So definitely it works perfectly. Second marriage in the ninth house, opposite what? The Lord of the ninth house, marriage happens, right? Now let's move on to what will defend me now, because I have come and say, okay guys, maybe you may be right, we don't know, but I know, right? So let's take the next chart. This is the chart of Angelina Jolie. We know she's been married a couple of times, but that we are limiting the data to the second marriage, because this is where the debate is about, right? So the first marriage, she got married in 1996, and at this time she was 20 years old. She was over 20 years old, and that falls directly in the ninth house. The first marriage of Angelina Jolie falls in the ninth house. But we said it's a second marriage. Now you see things are starting to fall apart. The theory starts to fall apart. Who is the ruler of that ninth house? It is Jupiter. Again, Jupiter. I see the pattern here. Jupiter is in the ninth house, in its own house. And what is happening? Marriage is happening, because Jupiter, like I always been telling you guys, Jupiter is celebration. So marriage happens again here. And now, but at the meter, we're talking about second house. I mean, the second marriage, yeah, and I say the second marriage does not get represented by the ninth house. So when she gets married again for the second time, it was in 2000 here, and it was in May, and she got married when she was 24 years old at this time. So which makes it even like quicker to see what would be happening, right? Because 24 years old, that would be so 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So that would be the between the 12th house and the 11th house. I know why I keep on saying between, it is because I don't want to be absolute. And then obviously for those who are really practicing charts and not relying on AI, you will know why I'm not being absolute. So that is where her chart is falling. So we say 11th house for specificity. We can say 11th house. And that 11th house, who's the ruler there? The ruler is Venus. Where is Venus? Venus has gone to the first house, right? It's got nothing to do with the 9th house whatsoever. Nothing. It fails. Boom. Okay, Mita, you can't just give us one chart, and say it fails, because we already gave you Eminem's chart to show that it does work. Okay, guys, okay. Let's keep testing. We are in the lab now. We are wearing our goggles, we are wearing our coats, we are testing theory here against practical life, real life. So let me give you another chart that many of you know. Ben Affleck. I've made Synastry of Ben Affleck 2 times already, with Jennifer Garner and with Jennifer Aniston. We already know his ascendant is Gemini, and definitely the 9th house is of Aquarius, ruled by Saturn, right? And so he gets married for the first time to Jennifer Garner. This is in 2005. They get married in June. It's a big day, and he is 32 years old and 11 months. So literally just before he gets to be 33 officially, he gets married. So literally at the edge of the 8th house into the 9th house, this is where he gets married. So because this is how I see things, I don't see things in absolute. So but then for the purpose of presentation and how lots of people do it, for making things easy, we say it is the 8th house that he gets married in, because this is where the age of 32 falls, right? Now here, this is the house ruled by Saturn, like everybody knows, and Saturn for the first marriage has gone to the 12th house, right? So okay, but we're not talking about the first marriage, we're talking about the second marriage. Right, okay, hold on. He gets remarried in 2022 to Jennifer Lopez, and as we all know that, right? And so, what age? We have to look at the age. He was literally at 50 years old at this time. Just 50 years old, literally pil, like 50 in one day, right? So we have to calculate and find where 50 years is falling. And 50 years is falling in the 2nd house, right? Which has got nothing to do with the 9th house whatsoever. So he gets married, second marriage, definitely not the 9th house. And the ruler of the 9th house, Saturn, is in the 12th house, which is not the age at all, because he literally gets married the age after he has passed that Saturn as well. And when it gets to Angelina Jolie, same thing, it did not pass. So let's keep proving, you guys. Let's take the chart of Meghan Markle. These are the charts that I've been introducing it to you for some time now. Let's take the chart of Meghan Markle. We do know that she was a divorcee before she got married to Prince Harry. So the first marriage, it was in 2011. So she got married in August of 2011, and at that age she was 30 years old, Bill, as well, like literally on the dot, because she got married, I think, on the 16th of August, and she's born on the 4th of August. So, and that age of 30, it falls directly in the 6th house, in her 6th house of Sagittarius, right? Which again, we're not concerned about, because that's not the hypothesis here, Mita, that we need to debate. It is the 2nd house. Okay, right. Yes, of course. Let's move on. And then she meets Prince Harry. They get married in 2018 in May. We all see the marriage. And when we look at the age, she is now at 36 years old. 36 years old, where does it fall? Right in the 12th house. Nothing to do with the 9th house whatsoever. The 12th house is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is not in the 9th house. So, and it is not the 9th house in any case. So now let's do the last one. Let's take Jennifer Lopez, because this is again another chart that we've talked about on the channel for many times. Jennifer Lopez got married. Her first marriage was in it was 1997 actually, and she was 27 years old at this time. And so the first marriage fell in on her 3rd house. She got married, happy, okay, and then she got divorced, and then she remarried, second marriage, 2001 in September. At this age, she is 32 years old and 2 months. So the second marriage falls again in the 8th house, just like Ben Affleck's. Her second marriage falls in the 8th house, and definitely not the 9th house. I have a whole lot of data here. I have, oh my gosh, Pamela Anderson, Drew, Nicolas Cage, George Clooney. I have all of them, and you guys can also do your own research, just to prove stuff, so that you can be diligent if you are the one who's working with people, and or then you can also be diligent if you are the one receiving the information, and you're consulting with somebody and they tell you, oh, look at your 9th house, this is when you're gonna be getting married, or anything relating to the 9th house, which is not the case at all. And many times I have actually shown you what to look at, and things that we really look at when we look at these things. But for now, I'll see you, and hopefully tomorrow I'll be able to post the predictions, but if not, then there's another day. A bientôt, thank you, and ciao.